Yo, what's up, THATFIT gang? Welcome back to another episode of THATFIT Podcast. Got a very special guest on today. I got my guy Alex, so introduce yourself, bro, who you are and what you do.
Sweet, man. Thank you. Thanks for having us. My name is Alex Jakenis. I'm the gym manager at Nexus Performance Gym. We just opened 2 weeks ago, so we got...
Sick gym too.
Heaps going on, thank you. We had a few people come down sort of as we were getting into the gym and getting it open. It's great to have people like you that come down, sharing that vibe, sharing that atmosphere. We're trying to make a big community space there, so we got heaps going on. But I've been a PT in the industry for about 5 years now, and fitness and health and training has always been a part of my life to some degree. And this is the next progression of it. It's getting into a space, it's getting into a gym that really aligns with my values and how I like to put forth the training and things like that. It's really great to just be in an environment where I'm the weakest again. Well,
that's the thing, man. Like, if you really want to progress, you have to put yourself in those environments, right? To really progress yourself forward. So, take me back to where it all first started, bro. Like, where fitness sort of really came into your life. Was it something that you were forced into? Was it something you came across because of situations in your life? Sort of let us know what sort of got you into that space.
Cool. So we got a bit of a story, I guess, but I've always been around fitness to some degree. I like moving my body. I've always been an outdoors kid. That's how I was raised. Dad loves his screens. He loves his technology and stuff like that. He was brought up in a world where that didn't exist. So for him, that's a very exciting thing. And I love all of that stuff too. But mum is probably a little bit more on the hippie side of the equation. So I was always an outdoors kid. I wasn't necessarily forced into that stuff. It was just kind of like, that's just what we did. That was our family. We were very outdoorsy. We were a very social family and stuff like that. So I played tennis for a good 7 years when I was sort of in primary school.
I used to play tennis a lot.
I love tennis, man. I love it. A lot of respect for that sport, especially people that play it at a high level, because it's so full
endurance, man. To have that focus for a long period of time, that's elite. That's elite.
Yes, and it's just you out there, which is what I like about it. You know what I mean? Like, you play some doubles and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's a very independent sport, and particularly from a mental aspect, a mental component, that's super important, right? So I love that, and sort of got a lot of mentality out of that. The biggest issue that I had with tennis being a very big endurance sport is I didn't have a lot of endurance growing up as a kid. So when I was 9 months old, I was diagnosed with, I had the surgery, I believe it was called tetralogy of Fallot. I had 3 holes in my ticker when I was born.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and
in your heart?
In my heart,
How does that happen?
So that was a genetic thing. So Dad has a bit of a history of heart stuff on his side of the family. His dad's had heart problems. Dad's had a heart attack, I think, when he was about 55. Thankfully, all good now due to better lifestyle choices and things like that. But the genetic factors played a part, and that was just something that I drew the short stick with. You know what I mean? So
how did that play into like endurance and stuff like that? Could you feel it going over a certain amount of training and stuff like that you struggled to get past a certain point of endurance? Did you feel that? What did it feel like?
It kind of felt like I just lacked a bit of capacity. Like I didn't have as much in the tank maybe as kids incomparable to me, right?
Yeah, right.
And it's always hard when you're comparing others against yourself, but when you're young, you know what I mean? That's really all you've got, right? So when I was born, we didn't really notice, I didn't really notice, parents didn't really notice anything that was necessarily wrong with me until maybe, that 8-9 months. I had difficulties breathing. I couldn't use my upper body very well. Didn't have a lot of strength there, right? So we got that diagnosed, and I pretty much went in for surgery straight away. And that led to things that couldn't necessarily be done at the time because I was so young, underdeveloped. So that carried on into my childhood, essentially having a leaky valve from one side of the heart to the other.
It leaks blood or just...
so literally you have the blood pumping through, and maybe you have only a certain percentage of volume actually pumping through from one ventricle to the other, and the other one sort of regurgitating back into the ventricle that's trying to pump out. So
crazy.
That one ended up expanding over time, right? Because it's getting more and more fluid. So pretty much I just felt like I didn't have as much to give for as long. I'd run out of breath very quickly. Shortness of breath is common stuff with heart problems. But, I never associated it necessarily as having a problem because, like I said, I had nothing to compare it to, right? Like, it was just, that's just what I had.
It was just you, right? It was just life.
So, like, I just tried to persevere and push the limits of what I could and couldn't do. I didn't do too well in the beep test and those kinds of endurance things, but I gave it a crack, you know what I mean? And so over the childhood, it was kind of like, I played some tennis. We started dabbling in like weights when I was like 14. We get in the gym with the PE teacher, Mr. Sunjo. He fucking loved it, man. And it was just like, it sort of introduced me to that world that of what strength training could do. You know, the boys go down, we lift a bit of weights.
Yeah, for sure.
You get like these tiny little muscles coming through.
And you're like, what does that? You take your shirt off, looking in the mirror.
That's it. And like you're getting into puberty and stuff, and like everything's sort of changing, and you're going through this sort of weird time. And yeah, I really just kind of put, I guess, a lot of that mentality with the heart in the back burner. It was just like, whatever, it's not a problem, not a big deal. Eventually, though, there was something that we had to do about it. Is, you know, cool, the valve is leaking, we're getting some expansion. At some point, we're going to need to fix that. And it was kind of, even with the hospitals, it was always put on the back burner. It was something that wasn't like, hey, we need to get in now and fix this thing. And so pretty much when I got to 17, it was the end of high school. I was always a year below everyone, so I was just finishing sort of high school or getting into year 12, I think, when I was just turning 17.
Okay, yeah.
And I went in, they said, now's the time. So we want to do a valve replacement. I think at the time it wasn't a donor valve. I think they wanted a pig's or a cow's valve or something like that. It's very similar anatomy, so they could use that, and maybe I'd get 10 to 15 years out of that valve, something like that.
So this is something that you have to continually replace?
So I'll kind of get to that, but at this stage it was like, hey, this is the next step. We need to get it replaced at some point. So it was kind of like, I put it in the back of my mind, but I always knew it was going to come up at some point. So I just kind of lived life accordingly up until that time. And then when I was 17, I went in for day before prep. So you go through the day before prep, you shave your nuts and all that stuff, and like get, you know what I mean, get nude, get all the injections and all that and everything. And then pretty much at the end of the day, we had a nurse come into the room and said, it's not on. We need someone else to go through the surgery. They take priority over you. And I got pushed back. So that was pretty rough, because it was like right at the, you know, you go through the day before prep. This is something I knew that I'd have to be going through at some point in my life.
Because it's not something that, it's not the thing that going through the back, but it's the mental, like knowing that you're going through an extensive like procedure that you sort of mentally have to get yourself ready for, and especially get to that point and be like, oh, hey, like we're not going to put you through yet. It can be pretty mentally draining. So,
dude, it was taxing, because it was like, it just the whole day it was like, all right, this is the next thing I need to do. I don't particularly want to do it. And, you know, like I said, kind of comparing myself to myself, not really trying to put it at the back of my mind. It was like, do I really need the thing? Do you know what I mean? Like,
I've been still living like...
I've still been getting it done, you know, maybe not to the fullest of capacity, but I had nothing to compare it to. So anyway, a year goes on, 18th birthday, that's the time, right out of high school, just finished. I remember waking up on my 18th birthday. I went for like a CT or an X-ray or something downstairs at like 5 in the morning. I'm wearing the dress. I got wind coming up into my nads and stuff. And that was my 18th birthday. I got a valve replacement. It ended up being a donor valve. It was actually a kid from Queensland. He was 21 years old.
No way.
Passed away in a car accident. Crazy. Very thankful for that. And I've gotten good life out of that. I'm just about to turn 30, so it's nearly 12 years on. They expected 10 to 15 years out of the valve. Here I am 12 years later, lifting some heavy weights, doing some good stuff.
That's crazy. So I just want to touch on that, like the experience of having something from another person who's passed away, bro. Like, tell me, what does that feel to, what does that sort of mean to you? Because I think it's easy, like, but that's like another human, part of a human that you've got inside you, and essentially, so like, how do you sort of think about that? Like, because it's something that not a lot of people obviously go through, but like, what does that mean? Does it mean anything to you? Like, how do you sort of go about like thinking about having that? Yeah,
like I've always, I think, associated different meaning over the years to the things that I've gone through with surgery and my heart and stuff like that. Over time, I think that my mentality shifts. You know, there's definitely been times where I've been pretty bitter about it, but it doesn't really do a lot for me, so I try and stay away from that mentality. Exactly. You know, I'm grateful that, especially in some tragedy, that there's a silver lining to that, and there's something for me to sort of carry on in that sense for that individual as well, and to hopefully do some good things with it. You know what I mean? Not let it go to waste, because I think about, you know, even with the way that surgery is advancing in these days, they've always talked about keyhole surgery as a thing for replacing this through an artery through the groin to replace the valve. So, you know, medical science is always moving, but if it was 10 or 15, 20 years before that I was born, maybe I wouldn't be here to even give it a crack from that first surgery, right? So you just got to be thankful, I think, that those things exist. I don't necessarily subscribe to the, what would you say, the modern medical... There's a lot of it that I choose to stay away from and not participate in, and even just from being at a young age in hospitals and seeing a lot of sick kids grow up and stuff. Dude, like I try and distance myself from that mentally because I can see what it does to a lot of those people, and they can really get themselves into, you know, that victim mindset and associate a lot of blame.
And that's the shame, bro, is that it's a lot easier to go into that victim mindset, you know, it's like, why me, and stuff like that, which people like you, it takes people like you to understand that, hey, like, these are the situations, but unfortunately it's your responsibility as well, and what you do with it is really going to dictate how your life really turns out. And
100%.
it's, I think, talking about the modern medicine is like, I'm similar, like I certainly don't believe in a lot of it, that there's a lot of natural things that you can go about doing that sort of stuff, but obviously you had the surgery and stuff like that. What sort of unfolded after that?
Yeah, cool. So it was actually quite a quick recovery. They were quite surprised. I think it was maybe 5 to 6 weeks in total for recovery after open heart surgery. So that's breaking open my sternum, that's ripping the rib cage apart. There's a lot of, you know, trauma that goes into the upper extremity. But I surprisingly went through that process what felt like pretty quick. I expected it to be longer. You know, I was up on my feet walking the next day. I tried to get out of the bed and just get out of the room and shuffle around the thing, and you know what I mean? And that's always been the mentality, is just get up and keep moving with it as much as possible. See what I can do. What are the limitations? And I found out pretty quickly there were a few limitations in just capacity initially. But, you know, 6 to 8 weeks after, like, we lived in Doncaster down in Melbourne. It's a very hilly area. We lived at the bottom of, like, Deep Creek Drive right next to the creek, and just to get up to the bus stop was like, it was a hefty climb, right? And that was somewhere where I lived, you know, a good 5 years prior to surgery. After it, that 6 to 8 weeks, getting up that hill wasn't so hard anymore. It wasn't as taxing. It didn't feel like it drained me as much. And, you know, the whole time of my childhood, I was like, do I even need this thing? You know, I feel like I'm pretty good. But it was night and day. It was chalk and cheese after I had the surgery and I recovered, that I could really feel and understand, you know, what was more optimal energy levels for myself.
Because is there still restriction there, or is that like getting that done get you back to like a normal person's heart at all? Does it get you back to that?
Or I guess it's hard to say what, you know, where do you even draw the baseline of normal? It's pretty hard, I guess. Again, I'm just sort of comparing it to where I was at and to where I feel I am now, and really that's the best and really only comparison that makes sense. So, that there was no like limitations in particular of what they said I could and couldn't do. I don't take any medications, which is pretty lucky that I don't have to go down that path. But you know, they were always like, you know, just be careful around this kind of stuff. Watch out for shortness of breath, these kinds of signs and palpitations and things like that. And I do get that to some extent, but whenever I report back, I let them know what I've been doing and how I've been doing it, what kind of symptoms and things that I might be presenting with. And for the most part, they're like, well, it sounds like you're doing pretty well. Keep doing what you're doing, you know what I mean? And that's good to hear, because I don't necessarily feel like I take it easy on myself. I do try and work hard, and there are definitely times,
limits,
there's definitely times in the gym where you're pushing those limits and you're like, oh shit, like, you know, this is pretty full on, and I get some palpitations and things like that, but they subside and they go away, and I feel like pushing that limit is important to understanding not only where the limit is, but, you know, to extend it further and further over time, and that's the nature of training, right?
100%. So obviously going through these situations and stuff like that, when did you start the PT journey and stuff like that? Was that the mindset is because you've been able to go through these changes in yourself that you want to see that change in other people as well? So, and why sort of strength? What was strength? Like, obviously you still incorporate hypertrophy and stuff, but obviously your base is strength. Like, what's that situation like? What was that sort of mindset going into obviously a fitness industry filled with a lot of false information, correct information, and there's a lot obviously out there. What was your sort of purpose and meaning that you're going to provide through your training?
Yeah, cool. Well, like I'd been in and out of gyms, you know, so much, probably from that age of 14 when I got in there with the PE teacher, all the way up until, you know, maybe about like 23 was when it really started to kick off and push in a good direction. You know, I hired coaches. I started to look for better information rather than just me going down to the gym with the boys on after work and stuff like that. But that's where the journey really started, because I was doing landscaping at the time, and I sort of noticed putting myself again into another environment that was new and unfamiliar and challenging, that I was like, oh shit, I'm still pretty weak. You know, this is hard yakka. This is hard work. We're doing a lot of construction, paving, concreting, retaining walls, stuff that you need to be really fit and prepared for. And I just wasn't at the time. I think probably after surgery, I went through a bit of a existential period. Probably for most of my 20s, I would say I've been through an existential period. But
I think everyone does.
Yeah, everyone does. But the gym really helped me sort of pull that into line and to bring a little bit more of that discipline and work ethic back to my life. Landscaping also helped with that. I wasn't necessarily working around the best people for that, but it was my own drive just to become better and to hold myself better on the job site that got me into the gym. So I guess when I got into that, the perspective was, cool, I'm weak. I need to build some strength. So I guess the love for strength training sort of fell into that perspective. Also just love the fact that my body soaked it up and I started to look better.
100%.
And, you know, particularly with my posture is something that I really wanted to fix after surgery and probably, you know, a good...
What, were you very, like, hunched over and stuff?
Yeah, just, like, really sort of rounded forward posture. You know, there's a lot of scar tissue and stuff, obviously, that's there that sort of does affect the anatomy in some sense and even biomechanics and how I move.
Yeah.
But my posture was just piss poor. Like, I looked weak, I felt weak, and I think it was just... Mum explains that there's a lot of, you know, sort of protective energy around that front of the body, you know what I mean?
It's so interesting, man, because when I had shoulder surgery and, like, the middle plate and stuff is still in there, I still struggle with it. Like, I remember 6 to 8 weeks after, because you're just in this position the whole time. It's just like, you just don't feel right. And mentally, you can feel it as well. It's like, it's very draining, like, and being able to think and, like, not being able to put any proper strength in it. Like, you really struggle with anything. And posture is a very important thing. It's more than just your way to move your body. It's like how you represent yourself in a way. And it's like, I felt that. I felt like I was just like in a shower like for like a long period of time. So that's super interesting.
Well, like that's the thing is training really helped bring out a lot of confidence for myself and competence across this domain of the physical body of something that I've probably always battled with. And in that, you know, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you hold yourself is very representative of your communication with not only people but just the world in general, right? So I think what people really started to notice when I was hitting the gym, when I was doing landscaping, is, you know, everyone says to me, bro, your posture is so much better. Like, you just, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you hold yourself, and that did so much for my just ability to handle conversations, opportunities, you know, even just, I guess, challenging certain people in my life that were probably encroaching too much on my life and things like that, you know, bosses and things like that. And just being able to, I guess, contend with the world and the people around you in a better sense. And it's not necessarily about it from a competitive point of view, but just being able to hold yourself. And, you know, I was always the smaller, weak kid. I got picked on in school. Fucking a lot of people got picked on in school. I got picked on in the workplace in my 20s and stuff like that. And, you know, you can really create a bitter person from the way that you treat people like that. And I think it's definitely a testament to how I've lived, that I've just been like, well, fuck that. I'm just going to go do my own thing and progress in my own sense and build that confidence myself. So, you know, strength training was such an important thing because, you know, the lessons that you learn in the gym, you can apply very broadly to life and how you go about things, how you get about your career. And just that work ethic, I think, is something that particularly like the younger boys really need. Like I say to a lot of my old clients that were just a little bit lost and a little bit, where do I go and what do I do? Like, go do a trade, go do something fucking hard that you can really put some effort into. You can be humbled by the experience. You can be the new kid again and learning a skill, especially something with your body if you haven't done that before. You know what I mean? I think that's really important. A lot of kids these days, they grow up doing some gymnastics, some martial arts or something like that, some swimming, stuff where they're really focused on their movement and their body, and you can see that when they grow older, how they carry themselves, how they move, and just we know how much that is just a basis for your health moving forward, right? Yeah,
for sure. So obviously, with that mind, like, what's your sort of mindset now with training and stuff? What's the sort of programming that anyone that comes and sees you, like, what does it sort of look like over a period of time? Obviously you're very detailed in how you like to go about things, and like people obviously have goals and aspirations, like, hey, I want to be here, I want to lift this amount of weight. Like, what does that look like from start to getting them to that point where they want to obviously be able to lift a certain amount of weight?
Yeah, cool. Like, I think with everyone, you just really need to get clear on what it is that you want to do. You know what I mean? Like, where do you want to go? What is the goal? What does the end result look like? Because for everyone, it's very individual. People have a different idea of what that looks like to them as well. And the way that people sort of visualize and even just recognize progression in that sense. So we try and get very clear on that from the get-go. It's like, hey, cool, this is where you want to get to, right? Like, we're trying to get to this point. Let's find out exactly where you are right now then, and let's paint that picture. Let's get really clear on those 2 points, and now suddenly the bridge in between to those 2 points will make itself more apparent, right? Yeah. And that's just the nature of good training is finding out exactly where you are, and then what's the logical progression over time to get there. You know what I mean? And there's obviously going to be relevant factors like, cool, where they're at, what's their lifestyle, what are some things that are potentially going to get in the way of that path, because we know it's not going to be that linear straight line. There's probably going to be a lot of ups and downs in between.
How do you help them understand that? Because people will be like, okay, I've got a program, this is what I start, I'm going to get there, and it's going to be sweet sailing. Like, how do you go about letting them know, like, hey, there's going to be a lot of stuff that happens on in between? Like, how do you sort of get them in the mindset of understanding that?
I think it's about just managing expectation and just trying to get a real good understanding of, again, where are they right now? How do they feel in relation to that goal? It used to be when I was doing a lot of work down in Melbourne, and I was having a lot of conversations every week with people that are trying to get into the gym, and people that haven't probably done a lot of this stuff before, like true beginners, right? And we talk to them about what kind of things that they want to achieve, and we go through a big grandiose idea of what that looks like. We paint all the stuff about where they're at now and get them really understanding about where they're at in relation to their goal. And then we just ask them a simple questions like, do you expect to get there? You'd be surprised how many people say no. Yeah. Right? We've just spent an hour sitting down, figuring out what it is that you want, getting really connected that that's the thing that you're after, and painting a really good picture of where you're at right now. And when people see that reality in front of them and you sort of paint that picture and you see where they're going wrong and what we can do to improve it, a lot of people go, oh, shit, I don't know if I can do that. You know what I mean? Which is interesting because, okay, cool, maybe if we didn't do that step and we got that person signed up and they got started and maybe we did hit that first roadblock or that first point where progression isn't flowing as freely as we'd like, and they go, oh, shit, no, I'm out. And maybe we didn't address that enough in the initial session to shift that expectation, because if people expect to fail, they're probably going to fail. Yeah. They're probably going to find ways.
Well, that's the thing, that when you get that sign, it's just like, oh, that's exactly, I'm right. Like, I was never going to be able to do this. So
they confirm it to themselves.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So I guess like the biggest thing is trying to shift that expectation a little bit, or maybe even just the goal that we're looking at is too far down the track, and maybe we need to look a little bit more for process goals that are going to happen along the way. And process being the key word there, that if we can get them focused on the process rather than the outcome, we're probably going to get the outcome at a better result. Yeah. We're probably going to enjoy the process a lot more as well. We're not fixated on maybe a number on the scale or a number on the bar, but just simply the process that's going to help us get there. And that may shift week to week. That's why you have people like coaches and stuff like that to help you through that process, because we've been there, we've done that, we know the process, we know how it works, we know how long it takes. And there's a lot of things that come up along the way that, well, oh shit, we didn't expect that, you know what I mean? Yeah. But we're going to find a way around it. And if you can dial people back into that process, or at least the goals that are along the way to that long-term goal, I think that's a better way of looking at that for those people. Speaking
of processes, because it's so important and that's perfect, is that what do the processes look like for you and your clients?
Yeah, cool. So at Nexus, it's obviously shifted around a little bit because I was running my own business up until a couple of months ago. But now at Nexus, we pretty much go through that process of sitting down, having that conversation with someone, and just really identifying who they are. Like, can we help this person as well? You know what I mean? Like, we might have someone...
That's a very good point, is that most students are like, yeah, no, we can help you. But if you're really serious about getting the results, you have to work with people that you sort of align with in a certain way. They'll be like, we can definitely help this person. So that's super interesting.
Yeah, well, I think like if you sit down, you have this big conversation with a person and you realize that your service doesn't actually provide what this person needs, you would be doing that person a disservice by bringing them in, right? And you know, you're like, yeah, we're going to get it done, bro, and it's all good. And you know, being authentic is something that's super important, because people can see through that really quickly. People can feel that, and that's not what we want to create at our gym. We're a very small gym. You've been to our place. We've got like 100 square foot, and we're going to get a lot of people in there that we want to be all on the same page, that are very supportive of each other. You know, and I think that creating that space and creating that place, you know, I don't know what your journey has been like, but I've gone into a lot of gyms where there hasn't been a lot of that support. And when I've come into gyms that do things a little bit differently, that are really looking after the individual, creating a nice tight-knit training environment, a really good, productive environment for progression, fuck, man, it's electric, and like
it is.
It's something that I almost can't go without now. And you know, coming up to the coast here a year ago from living in Melbourne, there's a lot of places like that in Melbourne. Melbourne has a big S&C culture. It has a big private industry for strength training, for athletes. We don't have that here on the coast yet.
No.
It's you know, we've got a lot of big box models, a lot of group gyms and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not the environment where you know, 90% of your people are going to flourish. Big box gyms, you probably think 90% of people don't get what they're looking for.
It's funny, man, and it's like, no, like, disrespect to people like that, but you just don't see the change. Like, and those people that do go there, which again, like, you have to put yourself in an environment, which we talked about before even starting the podcast, is like, you have to go to a place that you're like the bottom of the thing there to really progress and be around people that are there literally to help you get to where you want to go. Whereas big box gyms and stuff like that, it's just like, hey, here, pay your money each week and come work out, like, which is fine. Like, it's important that everyone's moving and staying healthy and getting that movement. But most people want growth, man, and people really, it's funny, people have these mad aspirations, but it's just like, well, you're in an environment that doesn't really help you grow to the things that you want to achieve. So being at Nexus the first time that I was there, straight away it's just like, you know, what's your goals, talking to Will and stuff like that, where you're trying to head and stuff like that. It wasn't, oh, hey, like, hey, how long are you wanting to train here and stuff like that. It's just like, hey, man, where you trying to head? And that's important. And being around those people and high level people is exactly where you have to be. It's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, but it expresses true growth as well. So I think that's super cool. Yeah,
like as I was saying to you, like, it's refreshing to be back in a gym where I'm the weakest again. And maybe my knowledge is still probably better than a lot of people there, obviously being a coach and worked within the industry for a while. But, you know, with Will there and Mickey and these other coaches that we have, it's so great just to bounce ideas off again and have good discussions and find out how we can make the gym better. How can we help more people? And that's why particularly we're going to be going so much into the education space because, you know, like we were saying, hey, we do have some big box gyms here. We have some commercial gyms and some group fitness and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with those models. In fact, I think there's a lot of those models that we can really learn from, particularly from a community aspect, from a support aspect. I think those really hit it on the head. But again, maybe it is only the most unfit person that really benefits from a model like that. Whereas the people that have been there for a while, it's going to be really hard to elicit some adaptation if you're not really giving it enough stimulus to provide. And unfortunately, some of those models just aren't set up to facilitate that. And, you know, like you said, you come into our gym, it's some of the first questions, hey, bro, like, what are you training for? What are you trying to get after, you know? We're always trying to offer value to people coming into our space because we want the quality to be super high. We want people to leave and say good things about what we're doing so that the culture of what we're trying to do there spreads out and starts to infiltrate other gyms and other coaches because that's how we can really help more people. If we can help coaches become better at what they do and how they do it, how they program, how they have relationships with their clients, all these things, we can just affect and help more people. Like I heard this from Jamie Smith. He is coach and owner of Melbourne Strength Culture. This is where I did an internship and really fell in with powerlifting and this kind of crew. But the level of support that they have at that gym and all the things that they do in the education space is really just trying to reach more people and help the industry grow as a whole to do better things because they realize only in their small gym we can only help a small pool of people. But if we have coaches come to our gym, they want to learn our methods, how we do things. Maybe they don't necessarily take everything on, but they just take one or two things that help improve the outcomes that they get for their clients, improve their businesses. It's just going to do better for the industry, and that's going to do better for more people overall.
So that's super interesting how you were talking about culture, and culture is the most important thing. Culture and community, I think, is obviously how you create inspired people, motivated people to go out, because it's not about them going to the gym, it's about them going to the gym, becoming a better person so they can help the world go be a better place, right? So at obviously Nexus and stuff like that, and I just do want to say that being in a small, I think it's nice, like at the same time you obviously, it's a smaller gym and you may not be able to have the amount of flow of people coming through, but the impact is more important than the amount of people that come in, right?
That's right.
And straight away, just being in that environment, it's just like these guys really get it. They understand. They're all on the same page, where you don't get that in the bigger box gyms, which is super cool. So at Nexus, how you guys, obviously you have continued conversation about how you're going to do that, but at the moment, like, what does that sort of look like for you guys?
Yeah, cool. So we've been open for 2 weeks. We have already ran our first seminar and workshop. We ran that yesterday.
Yep.
We had a squat workshop focusing on all things squat biomechanics. We did about an hour and a half of theory, about an hour and a half of practical. And we had about 30 lifters and coaches come down for that, which is great. We really wonder how it's going to go, pushing a lot more education in the Gold Coast where it's not as prominent, maybe as down in Melbourne and Sydney.
That's a good point. And on the Gold Coast, it's very fitness lifestyle. It's like, hey, enjoy yourself, wear this, wear that, put, content out. It's very aesthetic, which is cool, but foundational, not as obviously prominent. So I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, it's something that I think we will contend with. But again, we're trying to really put ourselves at the head of that space and try and do as many good things as we can to really promote the gym and what we're doing and those kinds of values and things like that. Have more people come down to the gym, experience it, so that they could take that away and hopefully start to infiltrate more of the other spaces around. And if we can do that, again, we get more coaches involved. We can help more people, which is really great. So. We have it running literally right now. We have another seminar workshop on. I should be there for that.
I've robbed them. I've taken them away from the seminar, I'd say.
That's it. And we've got PTs from the EMF club down there at the moment working on big compound movements, squat, bench, and deadlift. And that's just like, we're just getting the tip of the iceberg. We're just getting the waters tested. We're just letting people know that, hey, this is the kind of stuff that we're going to be doing. These are the kinds of people we want down at these events that we're going to be running, and we're going to try and frequent as many of those as we can manage in amongst trying to build a gym and build that community as well. Nexus is also an online company. They've been online doing coaching for about 8 years now, Will and Mickey.
Yeah.
They've built quite a good team. We have coaches in Melbourne, in Cairns, here on the Gold Coast, and there's a lot there that we can do from that perspective, not just in the local gym scene, but we're going to have a lot of people come from Melbourne and Sydney to our gym because that's going to be our home. It's going to be our HQ. I think it was at, they were saying at like Nationals last year, we had almost like 50 Nexus of members.
That's incredible,
Yeah, including the team as well down at this one event. And it's like, when you just get all the crew together, you get these like-minded people together, it's really electric, it's really exciting and stuff like that. And I think that coaches, even just talking to coaches up here on the coast, even though it's not as prevalent, people are hungry for that.
Still interested,
Still interested, and that's a good sign that people are willing to invest in their education. It's been the only thing that's gotten me this far. It's just investing in myself, in my education, my understanding about fitness, about strength, about training, because there's so much of it. There's heaps.
It never finishes. That's one thing. No. When you start to learn one thing, it opens up another, and it's just crazy. So education it's non-stop, and especially in the fitness industry.
Yeah, there's so much, like you said, I think it was at the start, there is a lot of information out there, and it's like, how do you combat that? And it's like, you can't contend with the amount of information. You just have to put the good information out there, and eventually the cream will rise to the top.
Yeah.
And if there's a lot of bullshit going around, well, it probably won't last long anyway.
Yeah, for sure. Wow, that's crazy, man. I do, at the end of the podcast, like the last guest leaves me with a question.
Okay, yep.
First of all, thank you so much for coming on. We could probably run this back again, for sure.
Anytime. Who was it? Who was last guest?
It was Jeff Lynch, actually.
Jeff Lynch.
So his question was, who has been your biggest inspiration throughout your life to get you where you are today?
Ooh, throughout life. That's hard. Like, life has taken many different shapes and many different forms over time, many different mentalities and ways of thinking. I definitely couldn't attribute that to any one person. And I think that as over time, the more that I tend to idolize any one person, the more I tend to see a lot of their flaws and faults as well, that I'm like...
That's a really good point, man.
And it's good to take all of that on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think in its totality, you do have to.
Has been a few off the top of the head that you've sort of delved into and be like, fuck, this guy's been doing really good work, and like I really admire and respect it.
Yeah, I think from the strength world, I think from fitness and training, Jamie Smith has been a really good friend, mentor, and coach for me down at Melbourne Strength Culture, and I still to this day always follow what he's doing. He's actually coming up here to the coast next week, which is really exciting. Yeah. We're stoked to see him after a couple of years, and just his mentality of the way that he goes about what he does for the industry and in the space of education is very inspirational. And he's just a regular dude. I get along with him so well. I've always felt very comfortable with him.
So interesting, man. And that's the coolest thing about people like that, is that they may have these big personas on social media and stuff like that, but for them to be just a really good dude just in person is
it just adds to that level of like, cool, there's respect for that person and admiration that he's just doing the best that he can. And, I've always loved him from presenting and education space. We've had many good discussions on that front. And I look forward to many more like that. Yeah. I'd say one other person, just from like a work ethics perspective and something probably more left of field, is someone like Winston McCall from a band called Parkway Drive that have been around for fucking many years. I listened to them since I was like 14, 15. I've been to their shows like 10 or 12 times. Music has always been a big influence and a big passion for me. And those dudes just worked so freaking hard from day one. This local band from Byron Bay down the road, just playing punk shows out of their house and down at the community centre and stuff. And, over the last few years, they've been touring the world at some of the biggest shows that have ever existed.
Wow.
And, especially something like music, it's just, you have to keep putting in the work. You just have to constantly find ways to get better, to be a good person and engage with the crowd, engage with your audience, to create a community around music, around art. And there's something that we're super, drawn to when it comes to music on an emotional level.
Music it's everything.
Yeah, man. Encapsulates everything.
It is, and it's, that's crazy, man. That's really interesting. I like that.
Yeah, and it's just like, again, the front man persona, the person who's at the front of the room leading the pack, the one who has the most confidence, is something that I think you can take into, again, many other areas and aspects of life and stuff like that. So, man, I love that shit. And it's people like that are leading the way forward just to do better as the individual. And that's good to see. We need more of that definitely moving forward in this world.
For sure. Anyone else?
Fuck.
You gave me that one. Now I'm interested.
All right.
Give me one more.
I'll give you one more. It's going to be a corny one, and I'm going to have to do it.
We like corny here.
It'll be Mum. It's got to be Mum. Mum has led a very interesting life, and there's probably a lot of that life that I wouldn't necessarily agree was the best thing for her to do at the time for herself, for family. But she's always put family, at the forefront of her mind. She's the most caring, loving, and forgiving person that I've ever known. And she still continues to amaze me. She's about to hit 70. She's been gone back to uni. She's studying. She's always
amazing.
She's always trying to find ways to improve her mind and improve her skills. And, just constant love and light and good energy coming from Mum. You know what I mean? And that's a nice supportive thing that I think a lot of people have missed out on. And
100%, especially, man, because there's a lot, especially now, like divorces and stuff, not being single parents and stuff like that. To be able to sit here and be able to say that someone who gave you life is like one of your biggest inspirations, like that, you don't hear that very often, and like that's special.
And look, and Mum probably doesn't hear it even often enough, but over the years, there's been things that I've definitely disagreed with, that we haven't seen eye to eye with. But as I get older, as I get more mature, I just respect that a lot more. I can listen and take on more of what she has to say, and there's always something of value to take away from that. And she just continues to get wiser with age. You know what I mean? So better listen and tune in.
100%. Crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for coming on, bro. I appreciate that. That's crazy. We can definitely run this back at some point. Sorry for taking you away from your seminar. I didn't realize that you did. But thank you guys for tuning in. Let us know, as always. I'll link Alex's stuff down below, and obviously Nexus Gym as well. Go check them out. Amazing gym, amazing culture as well. So if you really want to make some crazy progress in terms of strength, check them out. I'll put them in, obviously, in the link in the description as well. But as always, you guys know what to do. Stay fit, stay vibey.
Thanks, man.